Astral's delivered an improved half-year performance. South Africa's biggest poultry producer has posted a 4% rise in revenue to just over 10 billion rand. Has pointed to higher sales volumes and an improvement in sales from its poultry division. Astral's bottom line, meanwhile, shot the lights out as its headline earnings per share surged 441%. CEO Chris Schutte says the company is satisfied with this interim set of results and has added that Astral's Reset, Refocus and Restart campaign, which aims to improve its performance post the load shedding and bird flu disaster of last year, has proven successful to date. Solid, that's how Netcare has described its interim results. The healthcare group says activity across its operations was influenced by sector seasonality, as well as lower respiratory admissions, along with a reduction in maternity cases. Still, it's managed to grow revenue by 4.3%, and Netcare's adjusted headline earnings per share grew close to 6%. An interim dividend of 30 cents has been declared. Netcare says the macro environment remains challenging due to high unemployment rates and a financially constrained consumer base. But it believes it's positioned to navigate these challenges and benefit from the changing dynamics in the healthcare sector. Famous Brands has reported a decline in full-year profit as lower consumer spending dampened demand. The restaurant group, which has posted a 5% drop in headline earnings per share, says its brand's overall performance was below expectations. And that's as declining demand at the front end flowed through to its manufacturing and logistics results. CEO Darren Heller says these results are a testament to the group's adaptability in the face of uncertain and challenging economic and trading conditions. Looking ahead, Famous Brands says it will consider divesting from non-core assets, and it's also planning to optimize its logistics footprint next year, with the final phase including the relocation of its cold storage facilities from Crown Mines to its Midrand campus. Altron's given shareholders a reason to smile. The technology group's hiked its final dividend by 74%. It's pointed to increased cash generation supported by a strong balance sheet. For the year ended February, it's posted a headline loss per share of 25 cents, largely due to non-cash adjustments. Altron says if those effects are stripped out, then its headline earnings per share from continuing operations grew 36%. Baldwin's withheld its annual dividend, citing current and expected trading conditions along with market uncertainty. The residential property developer has posted a 29% drop in revenue and a 50% decline in profit. Baldwin says the results reflect South Africa's macroeconomic conditions. It's pointed to high interest rates, inflationary increases and prolonged stages of load shedding, and has added that these factors adversely impacted consumer demand, loan affordability and investment in fixed property. Impala Platinum has concluded a black economic empowerment deal as part of its takeover of Royal Bafokeng. The BEE deal is valued at about 9 billion rand, and the beneficiaries of the transaction will own 13% in both Implats and Impala Bafokeng resources. CEO Nico Muller says the transaction demonstrates the group's confidence in the business, the Platinum Group metal sector and SA. Former President Jacob Zuma's hopes to return to the National Assembly have been dashed by the Constitutional Court, which has ruled he is non-eligible to be an MP. Justice Luona Theron says Zuma was convicted of an offence and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment. And under Section 47 of the Constitution, he is not eligible to be a member of Parliament and not qualified to stand for election until 5 years have elapsed since the completion of his sentence. The ruling comes after the Electoral Commission appealed against an order by the Electoral Court, which had set aside the IEC's decision to bar Zuma from running for Parliament. On the international front, Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary said that a recessionary feel around Europe could be a factor in slower than expected growth in airfares, as the low-cost carrier posted record annual profits slightly ahead of expectations. Let's take a look at this package report for more.
Ryanair's annual profits soared to record levels over the financial year ended March. The budget airline flew 184 million passengers in that time, also a record. That helped drive a 34% year-on-year rise in annual profit to almost $2.1 billion, which was ahead of analyst forecasts. But the feel-good factor at Ryanair isn't quite matched around Europe. CEO Michael O'Leary said Monday there's a recessionary feel around the continent. He said it could be a factor in slower than expected growth in airfares. He warned 2 weeks ago summer fares would likely not see the 5 to 10% rise Ryanair had expected. The carrier said its new forecast of flat to modest yearly peak summer price growth was heavily dependent on last-minute summer bookings. The Irish airline also said it would be 23 jets short of the number Boeing was due to deliver by the end of July, though it said Boeing was now delivering planes with a bit more consistency. Looking ahead, Ryanair said it was too early to provide sensible after-tax profit guidance for the current financial year.
And rampant inflation continues to impact Germany, this notably seen in rising food prices. Recently, the cost of the classic German shrimp roll has now reached €15, prompting citizens to call for government intervention. Here's our reporter Natindevu with more.
Well, that is right, Zinati. Inflation indeed continues to weigh in on the German economy and to the man on the ground. And this is as German food prices continue to skyrocket as they have been in the past few years. And with summer approaching, a popular snack has people alarmed with rising prices. Now, Lars Halter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me now from Berlin. Lars, what treat are we talking about?
Thanks for having me. We're talking about the Krabbenbrötchen, a shrimp roll. It's a very special one. The roll is richly loaded with the little shrimp known as the common shrimp or the crevette grise. They're not to be confused with the crustaceans eaten in the US and large parts of the world. The common shrimp is much smaller and it's mostly found in the North Sea off the coast of Germany. There it's long been a classic for locals, of course, but especially for tourists. I can't remember ever being in that region without eating such a roll myself. However, this season, the price for the snack has gone up to €15, and that is truly outrageous. It has caused an uproar, and some people have even asked the government to step in and regulate prices.
And of course, Lars, this is not the first time we're hearing about higher food prices here. What has happened in the supply and demand chain to have triggered this?
That's an interesting question. Indeed, food prices have gone up tremendously in recent years for grains, for dairy products, for many items indeed. But here, with regards to that Krabbenbrötchen, we are actually looking at an entirely different problem. The price for the little shrimp is up because the harvest is down. Traditionally, and I'm looking at numbers here I found for the period between the years 2000 and 2015, crab fishers in the North Sea have landed between 12 and 13,000 tons of crabs per season. Last year, they brought in somewhere between 5,500 and 6,000 tons of shrimp. So that's just about half of what they used to have. Now, there's not enough shrimp around to deliver to all stores and restaurants, and specifically discounters have even discontinued the sale of the product simply because it got too expensive. Only because demand is stable and supply has been low. So that's now why those still selling the shrimp rolls have to ask for a lot more money.
And are food prices still a worry in Germany overall?
They still are, of course, just not with regards to that shrimp roll. That seems to be much more of a media phenomenon too. As a matter of fact, those vacationing at the North Sea might still shell out $15 just because the snack is part of their vacation experience. However, food inflation can be seen in other products. And the döner, for example, a traditionally Turkish sandwich that's become just about the main German street food, is a good example here. Prices here have gone up drastically as well, and that is truly because of higher costs for ingredients like meat, vegetables, oil, bread. Add to this, of course, higher energy costs and often too higher rent payments. Now, this has led to some sort of food inflation crisis that actually affects large parts of the population. And then you have higher prices for staples in supermarkets and in grocery stores. So yes, food inflation does keep worrying Germans.
And while, Lars, we certainly hope that travelers and locals enjoy their summer regardless. Thank you so much for your time. That was DW's Lars Halter.